Hello friends, I am Dr. Bhavna Thakur, Associate Professor in the Electronics and Telecommunication Department, and I have been teaching for the past 20 years or so. Antennas is one of my favorite subjects to teach, and in this particular video lecture I am going to discuss about the radiation pattern of the antennas and important parameters of the antenna which we can derive from the radiation pattern. Hope this lecture is able to clear any doubts you had on this topic. Well, if you have a number of antennas with you and you want to compare or differentiate between the antennas, then antenna parameters come into hand. Antenna parameters give us a quantitative measure on the basis of which antennas can be compared or differentiated with each other. So in this video we are going to discuss the radiation pattern of the antenna and significant antenna parameters which we can obtain from the radiation pattern. Let me start by giving you a brief introduction about antennas. Antenna is basically a transition device, or we can say it's a transducer which converts electrical signals, that is the voltage or currents, into electromagnetic waves and vice versa. So if an antenna, if the voltage or current generates electromagnetic waves, and if it is placed in front of an electromagnetic wave, it will extract power from the wave and deliver it to the load connected to it. Also, all of you know that antenna is basically excited by acceleration of electric charges. That means every time varying current can give rise to electromagnetic radiation, even though the frequency of this radiation can be very small. Now radiation is basically a high frequency phenomena. So the higher the frequency, the more the acceleration and more stronger the radiation is. As we go to lower frequencies, the radiation becomes weaker and weaker, and at DC we get no radiation. Now antenna design mainly focuses on two things. First is the impedance matching with the free space to get the highest possible efficiency for the antenna, and second, that is most important, is achieving the radiation in the desired direction in space. Now antenna is basically got a dual nature. So when we see it from the space side, it has properties of electromagnetic waves like the radiation pattern, polarization, Poynting vector, and so on. But when we see it from the terminal side, it has got circuit-like properties like impedance, bandwidth, etc. So subsequently we can divide the parameters in two types. One is the space side parameters, another is the circuit side parameters. So radiation pattern is the space side parameter which we will be discussing in this particular video lecture. Now what is the radiation pattern? The radiation pattern is basically a three-dimensional plot of the relative distribution of the radiated power or electric field as a function of theta and phi in space. So it is basically a three-dimensional plot which gives you the magnitude of the radiation field. Now what I have shown over here is basically a typical or general radiation pattern which can be drawn for an antenna. Now this particular beam is called the major lobe of the antenna, and this is the lobe which has a major radiation coming from the antenna. So this is the direction of the major beam, and this is the direction in which the antenna is throwing its power, most of its power. So what is the radiation pattern? Radiation pattern is a three-dimensional plot of the relative distribution of the radiated power or electric field as a function of theta and phi in space. So what I have shown over here is a typical radiation pattern for a general antenna, and a number of antenna parameters can be derived from this radiation pattern. The first parameter is the direction of maximum radiation. Now the direction along which the field strength is maximum is called as the direction of maximum radiation, and the angular zone along the direction of maximum radiation is called as the major lobe or main beam of the antenna. The other parameter which can be derived from the radiation pattern is the direction of nulls, and these are shown in green. The direction along which the field strength goes to 0, that is, there is no power being radiated by the antenna, is called as nulls. So there are a number of nulls which can be seen in the radiation pattern of the antenna. The third parameter that can be derived from the radiation pattern is the beam width between the first nulls, also called as the first null beam width. Now, at times the effective width of the main beam is given by the angular separation between the nulls around the maximum radiation, that is the major lobe. So this is called as the beam width between the first nulls, and it is the angle between the nulls adjacent to the major lobe, which is shown in green. The other parameter that can be derived from the radiation pattern is the half power beam width. Now, the effective width of the main beam can also be found out from the half power beam width, which is a better measure than the beam width between the first nulls, and this width basically can be found out by the angular separation between the directions where the field strength reduces to 1 upon root 2 of its maximum value. Now, there can be two half power beam widths, one for the E plane, another for the H plane. Similarly, there can be two first null beam widths for the E plane as well as for the H plane. Besides the major lobe, there are some other lobes which can be seen in the radiation pattern, and these are called as the side lobes. The side lobes represent the leakage of power from the antenna and is an undesirable feature in the radiation pattern. The back lobe is the lobe which is 180 degrees opposite to the main lobe, and it is also a side lobe. The side lobes of the antenna should always be designed to be of minimum amplitude. Now let us see how we can find out the half power beam width from the two-dimensional radiation plots of the antenna. So this figure basically shows three two-dimensional normalized plots. The first one is the electric field pattern, which is in the linear scale. The second is the power pattern, which is again in the linear scale, and third is the power pattern, which is in the decibel scale and which can be used to enlarge the dimensions, to see the dimensions which are along the side lobes. Now, how can we find out the half power beam width? The half power beam width can be found by taking 2 points on the main beam which are 1 upon root 2 down from the maximum value. The maximum value in this case is 1. So what we do is we come 1 upon root 2 down, that is 0.707 on the adjacent side of the main lobe, and we get two directions on the main lobe. Now the angular separation between these two directions on the main lobe is called as the half power beam width. Now this half power beam width can also be found from the power pattern, but in this case, since the power density of the wave is proportional to the square of the electric field, so the power density reduces to half of its maximum value, since the square of 0.707 comes to 0.5. Also, we can find out the half power beam width in the decibel scale, but in this case the half power points become minus 3 dB points, as 10 log of 0.5 becomes minus 3 dB. So let us give us a formal definition of beam width. So beam width is nothing but a measure of the effective angular sector within which the power is radiating from the antenna. We have two beam widths, one is the half power beam width and the second is the first null beam width. So we can define the half power beam width as the angle between the 2 points on the main lobe of the antenna pattern where the power density is reduced by 3 dB from the maximum value. Similarly, the beam width between the first nulls is given by the angular separation between the nulls around the main lobe. As I told you earlier, both these parameters can be defined in the E plane as well as in the H plane. Similar to the polar plot, we can also plot the radiation pattern as a Cartesian plot. So, as we can see that on the x axis we have theta and on the y axis the electric field, we can find out the half power beam widths and the beam width between the first nulls from this Cartesian plots also by the half power beam width can be found by coming 1 upon 0.707, that is 1 upon root 2 from the maximum value of 1, and if we come down from this value of 0.707 on both sides, then the angular separation between these 2 points is called as the half power beam width. Similarly, the first null beam widths can be found by subtracting theta 2 minus theta 1, that is the angles where we get the first nulls adjacent to the main beam of the antenna. The side lobe levels is another parameter which is a figure of merit for the directional antennas. We have seen that the side lobe level should be minimized. So, this level should be measured. It is given by the ratio of the largest amplitude of the local maximas to the main beam amplitude. So, what we do is we find out the largest amplitudes of the side lobes and divide it by the main beam amplitude. Since the denominator of this equation is 1, since the main beam is normalized, the side lobe level, which is measured in dB, becomes the largest amplitude of the local maxima. For well designed antennas, the side lobe level for satellite communications and say microwave antennas which are directional in nature should be around minus 25 to minus 30 dB. Now we come at the various type of radiation patterns. The first is the isotropic radiation pattern, which is the pattern in which the power is radiated equally in all directions. Now this is basically a hypothetical radiator because its efficiency is 100%. So it is also called as a lossless radiator, which cannot exist in practice because all antennas have got some directional nature. But this type of radiation pattern is used as a reference for other real world antennas. The second is the omnidirectional radiation pattern, which is given which has a non-directional pattern in a given plane and a directional pattern in the orthogonal plane. Dipole and small loop antennas have an omnidirectional radiation pattern. The third pattern is a directional pattern, which is the pattern which is receiving more effectively in some directions, or it can be radiating more effectively in some directions than in the other. So this is the pictorial representation of the three-dimensional radiation pattern. The first is the directional radiation pattern. We can see that the antenna is more directional in one direction than the other. So it is radiating more in one direction than in the other direction. The second is the omnidirectional radiation pattern, where the antenna is radiating uniformly in the xy plane, but it is directional in the perpendicular plane. The third radiation pattern is the isotropic radiation pattern, which we can see is radiating equally in all directions. So, basically the 3-dimensional radiation pattern is difficult to visualize. So, what we do is we describe the radiation pattern in terms of 2 planar patterns, which is called as the principal plane patterns. One plane contains the electric field vector and the other contains the magnetic field vector. So, basically we take 2 patterns, one in the azimuthal plane and the other in the elevation plane. As we can see in the diagram that we have taken one cut in the xy plane and the other cut in the xz plane. The principal patterns are also called as the E plane pattern because this pattern contains the electric field vector and the direction of maximum radiation, and the H plane pattern which contains the H field vector and the direction of maximum radiation. So, basically this is the principal patterns in of the horn antenna. So, we can see over here that there are 2 principal planes, one is the E plane and the H plane. The E plane is found by taking the plane containing the E field vector, and the H plane is taken in the plane containing the H field vector. So, I hope I am able to shed some light on this topic of radiation pattern. Thank you.